round. Liquid has a negative win ratio, 3 wins, 4 losses. But Zealots isn't too impressive here either. 4 games played, 2 wins, 2 losses. Sky Temple would have been a map that I could have, for example, have seen them choose here because Liquid suffers there as well, whereas Zealots do usually pretty good on that map, so that's something that we might see later.
Sure.
But for now, I'm actually really curious to see if maybe this is because Zealots have some strategy that they haven't really shown yet, where they're saying, okay guys, if we come out with a bit of a pocket pick here and we just get the 2-0 lead, the chances that Liquid can actually reverse sweep us are very, very slim, so let's try and make this a quick 2-0.
This map has always interested me when it comes to shot calling in that top lane. I mean, Fan, you've had some shot calling experience in the past. It feels like Dragonshire is a different beast compared to a lot of the pools, or the maps that we have in this pool.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's so much rotational, you know, just rotations across the entire map. Yeah, like non-stop rotations. You rarely get the 5v5. Top lane matters, but so does mid and bottom, and so does the rotate, and so does the merc time camp, or camp timing.
Yeah.
Every single camp on the map. So it's definitely a very hard map to shot call, but at the same time, you know, you really need your team to just be on one page. Not even as a shot caller per se, but you need all 5 people to know what's going on.
Especially that top laner, when you have to get up a shrine, suddenly you have to watch out for that top lane a little bit if they can win that trade. A lot of communication, pretty important for this battleground, so we'll see how Zealots and Team Liquid are looking to pair off. Team Liquid goes back with their tried and true Hanzo. First pick it.
Yeah, not only that, Liquid again going for weeks now into Tracer first pick.
Yeah.
Every single time. Tracer's banned out immediately. On the other hand, we have Garrosh banned by Zealots. That to me feels more and more like an adaptation to Sport Billy just absolutely rocking it on the hero, and Zealots identifying we can't give that over, that's just too rough. And then we have also Hanzo again picked. And I mean, for good reason. Hanzo is really strong, and we have seen how strong Hazops in particular is on the hero, even though it didn't work out on the last map. But for the Zealots, this is, by the way, the exact down to the T, the exact opening that we saw on the last map. And for Zealots, I feel the Blaze Malfurion setup is fantastic. We talked about the importance of the top lane just a second ago, so now they have Zarmony on Blaze again, so that's already a great start for them once more.
Is a ban on Genji something that will be in favor for Team Liquid, especially on this battleground and top lane needing to not get ganked constantly?
Honestly, I'm not sure if that is the right choice for Team Liquid. Just the draft looking exactly the same as last game makes me a little bit nervous. And when you say they've been first banning Tracer for weeks, that makes me even more nervous because against an experienced drafter like ADRD, the last thing you want is to be predictable. And so far, what I've seen is very predictable. Just based off of the last game, you know, obviously Zealots are much better on BOE. They have a better track record, but Zealots showed a much deeper understanding of the map. Team Liquid kind of took the superficial race is king, that's all that matters. We're going to draft all aggression, all race last game. And Zealots, they understood what they were going to do. They understood they were going to defend. They built an entire team composition that was not good at racing at all, but they understood that if they could win the team fight and they knew how to win the team fight, they would win the map anyways. So even going on to this map, this draft, last game, banning out Tracer, banning out Phoenix, taking Hanzo, Chris still wrecked with Genji, so I don't know if doing the same thing here is going to be necessarily the right choice.
Well, Team Liquid has changed it up. They take a new break from themselves, looking for their own cocoons and their own engages, and they also take away the Genji.
I'm more interested in this Uther ban. That's already interesting to me, but first of all, you talked Inuburak Genji. Let's talk about that for a second. Now, Liquid is going into a very aggressive style now. Genji, first of all, is of course fantastic since you have quick rotations on the map that can pressure the solo lane in particular. You know that you have Blaze against you, so whoever you set onto the solo lane, if Genji can just come in once or twice and put a bit of pressure onto the Zealot solo laner,
they struggle.
That would already be great for them. So Genji's mobility is key here, but it also takes a tool away that Zealots used to great success on the last map, and it also synergizes with Inuburak very nicely. It's just the ban against Uther that I find very interesting, since Uther hasn't been picked in Europe for a long, long time, and it just is that panic button again. Having that quick heal or that quick divine shield there that's not now available, it's banning a cleanse out too. So this is basically just asking Liquid, hey, could you please get Stukov again?
Definitely, implying they're going to go all-out aggression here.
Yeah, but the one thing that surprised me with it is if you look at the lineup from Liquid at this point, from a European perspective, Stukov would be amazing here. You have a Inuburak for the dive, you oftentimes pair Cocoon with the Silence, you have then also the Hanzo era coming out, so just from what we've seen in the meta in Europe recently, Stukov would be great here, but it really feels as if they are going to try and bait it out here. But oh god, this is
That's
getting scary.
exactly what I was going to say. Medivh Diablo seems like the most obvious choice for Zealots here. Medivh, ADRD, no explanation needed there. But the Diablo pick becomes extremely good here because Team Liquid, they took both of their backline DPS in the first 3 picks.
Sure.
Whenever that happens, Diablo becomes an extremely good option if that backline cannot kill him. And Genji, Hanzo, not only are both very bad at killing Diablo, only when Hanzo gets 16 do you have any semblance of % damage against the Diablo, but Diablo is also extremely good against both of those heroes. He's single target point and click, and the escapes of Hanzo and Genji don't work well against that.
So what do you play against that on the offlane now? Because we don't really see a lot of Malthael in Europe, so that's not something where they would go and say like, okay, Malthael against Diablo. That leaves you with Leoric and the Drain, and you can argue, okay, maybe if I get Thrall and go Alpha Killer on 16 and try to play around that, but that's late in the game.
Yeah. I don't know. Immediately my thought was Malthael, but suddenly you're triple backline against Diablo. That can be a bit of a risk there. Malthael does okay against Blaze, but we haven't seen Malthael in forever. It's going to be the Thrall instead.
Yeah, Stukov and Thrall. So Thrall probably going to deviate into Alpha Killer on 16 later on. He's great for the solo lane, but as you said, the problem seems to be how do you kill... It's not only that you have to kill Diablo, you have to kill Diablo that is supported by Medivh.
Yeah.
And the aggression that he can now use when there's always a portal and protection ready, it's just scary.
I would not be happy if I was Team Liquid right now. I feel like Zealots have just outdrafted them so insanely hard this game. It's like everything went perfectly according to what Zealots planned. Not only, like, Liquid second banned the Maiev, but the Medivh is still up, so ADRD doesn't care. And on top of that, the Diablo into the Hanzo Genji, they picked the Stukov, which was exactly what Zealots wanted. They banned the Uther because we don't care if you pick Stukov. Stukov is terrible into what we're going to pick, so pick it if you want to. Uther's the only pick that can save you. I would argue the next realistic one would have been Rhaegar. So not even going for that kind of defensive, just going into the Stukov again. Once again, they have Stukov with no way of saving anyone if they get gone on, so...
The aggression for Zealots looks pretty darn great, and they're going to follow it up with a 5th pick, Phoenix. So now they have the DPS in the mix as well. And Team Liquid will have a lot of squishies. They have a lot of damage. If they can find some picks, it'd be good for them. But I think a lot of us agreeing here, Zealots are looking really great for this battle.
Yeah. Also, couple of tidbits with Phoenix in Europe. I don't know right now by heart how he stands in North America, but in Europe, when Phoenix came out, he struggled immensely. Like, he dropped down to, I think, 40% win ratio, looked really bad. By now, we have Phoenix in different setups, and we have him with a positive win ratio, 11 wins, 9 losses. But especially Zealots struggled a lot because their idea when Phoenix came in was, he's an auto attacker, we need to draft a double support here. And they were trying to make that work, but they fell pretty flat with it. Yeah. 1 win, 3 losses, didn't really look strong. But right now, with Phoenix starting to pick up, builds changing slightly, and the setups as well, I feel this is going to be a completely different style than they used in the past when Phoenix just came out.
One of the issues, too, when they were facing off with that Phoenix is they were facing off into a Hanzo and usually a Diablo as well, so it was usually a Dragon's Arrow into the APOC, and they usually just killed off Phoenix before you even had a chance to respawn. We've had a couple weeks since then, and we also don't have a Diablo here for Team Liquid, so should be a little bit more available here for control. But if we're going to go ahead and pick our winners here, we talked about it already in draft. I think I know your answers, but who do you pick for the win in draft?
Yeah, I already said a lot, but I'm going to go with Zealots. Now, that being said, I do think Team Liquid can win. They just have to play better than Zealots by far. The team comp, they have to execute it. The burden of execution is just insanely high for Team Liquid, but if they can do it, they can still win.
Caldor?
Yeah, definitely. Like, the draft looks just insanely strong for Zealots. Around Diablo with Medivh, that setup is just frightening.
Well, let's go into it. Game number 2. As we'll be seeing who can go ahead and get ahead here in this best of 5 series, or if we'll tie it up before we head into game number 3. Dragonshire is the battleground. Team Liquid versus Zealots.
And starting us off on the second game, we have to the left side Splendor again on Stukov. Once more, Hazops on Hanzo. Eternal finds himself on Thrall again, but this time Nurok playing Genji and Sport Billy on Anubarak.
On the right side, in the red, ADRD back on Medivh, Chris on Phoenix, Mopsio on Diablo, Shad to play Malfurion, and Zarmony back on Blaze again.
Yeah, Zarmony is just blazing it up today, and he, again, is just super strong on the hero. He's currently at 10 wins and 4 losses. The impact that he has for his team whenever he plays Blaze on the offlane is fantastic. And those stats, by the way, don't even include the offline event, the Western Clash. That is purely based on the online matches that we have in the European League. So a very impressive performance here by Zarmany. But also that combo with now Medivh and Mopsio on Diablo. That is scary. Portal again in the backline. They're trying to apply the pressure here. Zarmany came in too. Liquid moving away as Zealots are starting to be aggressive.
Both teams pretty aggressive there, but no one losing anyone in that fight. Zealots, however, win the wave clear exchange and get the lanes pushing in. Actually, Medivh in the middle lane in trouble. Able to drop down a portal, but gets low on health there. Well, down to a quarter. It's going to go ahead and tap and get healed up by Shad as well. ADRD thinking about fully backing, but should be just fine with Malfurion helping him out.
Yeah, you want to be careful on Malfurion in that setup, because if you have such a big 5 versus 5 brawl at the beginning of the game, then normally you can stack pretty nicely on your quest, and that's exactly what ADRD did. So he was immediately on 12 stacks here, and that of course really helps. So you need to make sure that you're not all of a sudden getting picked off early.
So also in the top lane we have Thrall and Blaze going at it. Usually a pretty timid lane, not going to see too much aggression happening. If we see anything, it'll be Nurok on that Genji going to the top lane, trying to get a pick on Blaze maybe a little bit early, but so far Zarmany's been keeping an eye on him, especially with the help of Medivh floating around. I feel like this early game, it's going to go pretty heavy into the favor of Zealots.
Yeah, I think what's important is that we're going to see rotations from Liquid. That's really important from them, especially play around Genji. Try to make sure that Genji pressures the top lane, that especially Zarmany is going to be in a spot where he can't venture out too far, because the wave clear is in his favor, especially when Thrall hasn't completed his Echo of Elements yet.
Yeah.
So try and pressure him a bit, and try maybe to get a kill around and engage with an Uberak. If you can get that early on, there's a lot that you can do with it. I feel they have one other thing that they can use, and that is the camp pressure they have.
Sure.
They have Thrall, they got Hanzo, so there's a lot of tools where they can get an easy mercenary camp early on. They can try to maybe put pressure onto the top lane with the night camps, dominate maybe through the bottom. So there's a couple of tools that they can use to establish early pressure, and that might be enough to put the Zealots on the back foot.
Sport Billy, speaking about being on the back foot, is in trouble here in the middle lane. They went for a full aggressive play, but Zealots immediately collapse on the fight there. They get one pick, and they're looking for a Nurok too. Mopsio comes in with a big old claw, throws Genji into the ground, and Zealots get 2 kills.
Get a double kill here, but also a quick caveat into this. The reason why we had a pause is that apparently there was a short problem as the engage happened on the side of Sport Billy. So he dies, but that might have been a result because of the problems that he had there. So of course that is already a bit of a stab against Liquid, but still need to put that into the right setup here. What scares me is the advantage that we have currently in terms of experience on the side of Zealots. That's actually insanely, it's insane for this early in the game.
What's interesting to me is that Zealots seem to be one of these teams that when it comes to being under pressure and being an underdog, that's when they really start to excel. They are doing so well. Remember, they 3-0 Trick Esports yesterday. Today, they seem to be playing on fire, already going into game number 2, having a couple of kills as well, and jumping experience on Dragonshire, which is usually something that you don't see very often. Zealots have came to play this weekend.
They did, and it's amazing because they were looking so bad.
They looked like they were falling apart, to be
Exactly,
honest.
they looked like they were falling apart. It was a big slump, and they said, hey, we have problems right now, we know that, and usually you can't shake it that quickly. So them coming out here and defeating Team Liquid in the fashion they did in game number 1, and now having such an impressive showing early on map number 2, is really impressive to me. And from Liquid's perspective, that's also super weird, because Liquid outside of the match against Fnatic looked very, very strong and just improving continuously, and right now that's just not evident here.
One thing they might have to worry about is maybe banning out Medivh in the future, because Medivh is enabling the Zealots right now. One pickup again. A third one might be next here if Zarmany is able to get an engage. Decides not to with the minion wave pushing in the middle, but Zealots right now are consistently finding the displacement against an important target and then following it up with a portal kill. Zealots now have 3, and they are moving towards level 7.
I mean, this is quickly getting ridiculous. By now we have more than a level lead for Team Liquid already. That is just, that's insane. Zealots are more than a level ahead of Liquid, about to grab the 7 talent, and they're now in a position where they could theoretically even try and go for the first Dragonite. Liquid needs something here. They need to turn this around. They need a kill somewhere, but now they might lose Eternal up at the top.
Diablo possibly in trouble too. Mopsio baiting them over here. Force of Will is down for another second or two. Mopsio is able to sneak out. Here comes Shad on the side. He'll be having a root, and he connects it with Splendor. Splendor locked down, tries to drop down a little bit of a slow before heading out, but it gets picked off.
Yeah, Stukov is down here once again. 4 kills against 0. Rotation was there down to the bot lane. Hanzo is actually starting to struggle against Phoenix there too, who pushed the entire wall in. Zealots is just racking up the experience here. It's really impressive how they are, the showing of them. And once again, barely Sport Billy getting out of there, trying to delay it, but now we have the Dragon Knight taken. Phoenix at the bot lane finds himself in trouble and might fall, but even if he dies, and he doesn't even fall, but even if he had died here, it wouldn't have mattered. They got a Dragon Knight for it, and it's just... It's brutal.
And it's not done yet, too. With the Dragon getting picked up, that means Zealots can grab a nice chunk of experience. They grab 1 turret, 2 turrets actually here in the middle, and look to rotate towards the bottom side. If they can get that fort, which is already nice and bruised because it's been opened up earlier, they'll be able to jump up to at least level 9.5, and then, of course, afterwards, 210. Zealots destroying right now, and Team Liquid might have to consider taking the fight.
Yeah, Zealots draft looked great, and we talked about that. Team Liquid getting their damage dealers earlier, and then completely getting blindsided by Diablo Medivh here. Once again, the attacks and the aggression are starting up. 30 stacks, by the way, on Medivh, so just 10 away from completing his quest. And they're about to grab level 10. They're 2.5 levels ahead here.
Almost 3. So Army clears the top lane. That'll be the 10 for them. And Team Liquid continues to hurt. The good news is Zealots took the Dragon, so therefore Team Liquid can play defense here for a little bit. So for some time, they might lose the keep wall, but other than that, they should be fine heading into the mid game. It's just a matter of they'll be talent tiers behind for a while now. There's a good chance that even when Team Liquid hits level 10, Zealots will be starting to hit level 12 and can play the safe game, get 13, and steal a Dragon.
I mean, right now, if you're Zealots, you're just playing aggressive. You can dive behind a keep, or a fort, no problem, especially when you have the portal too. There's just nothing to stop them to portal in, use their heroic abilities, try to look for a kill, apply pressure, and then move out with the help of Medivh himself. And they're now trying to use that with a double camp at the bot lane. They have Siege Giants and they have the Night Camp, and they're going to pressure through this easily. If they play their cards right here, this is going to be a keep.
Possibly. Explosive Arrow not doing much here. Hostile brings out a couple of damage. The Leyline Seal pops out in the back line. Dragon going to be going in here as well as Hanzo gets locked down. The Apocalypse was enough. There's a Planet Cracker 2, and Team Liquid loses Genji.
Genji's down. Thrall is at the top lane. That's keep. That's a 6-minute keep. They just go in. The portal in was great, and that's exactly what we talked about. If you're that far ahead, if you have your 10s and you have a Medivh, you just can dive behind the fort, behind the keep, and
Are they going to win?
They're going to try, and to be honest, there's no 10 for Liquid. I mean, what are you going to do here? You even have the spell aura still there. Hazops is trying to burn the mage down so that they at least lose that, and he's able to do it. But Zealots, they are in such a great spot. I like, though, that they moved away.
They moved
because
away.
Liquid is going to hit 10 during this.
Yeah.
And so there is... The problem is the following. Yes, you might be able to core. If everything works right, you get another kill, maybe the stars align and you're able to core right away. The problem is death timers are so low that everyone that you kill, Genji is a good example, is immediately going to be back. If your opponent hits 10 and you get wiped on the core and you don't finish the game, all of a sudden Liquid is back. So they decide to just play that safe, back off, and now they're still 2 levels ahead. They have a keep taken. They have such a strong grasp on the game right now that Liquid is going to have an insanely difficult time breaking through it.
I do like what Team Liquid did there, though. They got the top right fort taken out, took the Night Camp pushing in as well, so got them experience. And the moment they hit 10, they immediately invaded their opponents and took over the Giants just because Zealots had already used heroics a little bit earlier there. They would still be on cooldown, so nice little force from them, but the issue still is aligned here as Zealots are about to hit that level 13, only a quarter level away. Inferno trying to buy some time in the top lane by grabbing this shrine. But Zealots, at any point, can force a fight. The moment Leyline Seal is up in APOC, they'll be going in.
And of course, they're waiting for the 13, and that's what they have access to now. So they're still 2 levels ahead. They have 13 versus 11 in talent. And there we go. Here comes the Leyline. APOC, Planet Cracker gets interrupted though. Billy with a nice attempt, but Hanzo is still down, and Splendor barely survives. Well, maybe not even that. Portal comes in, but nobody uses that. And in the meantime, Billy himself is in trouble as Chris is body blocking him. And the Beetle is trying to burrow away. But if they are going to give chase, they're going to catch him eventually.
Yeah, at this point, he's just trying to buy time. He knows his life is done here. ADRD continues to chase him. And that will be a squashed bug in a moment or two here, as ADRD will finish him off at some point. Team Liquid, 2 levels behind.
Why is Sport Billy not suiciding here?
Yeah, he's just running to the turrets here. I don't know why he's trying to get away.
He can't possibly think that he's going to escape.
Well, I think he's trying to buy time for top lane. As Thrall goes in for an engage and finds Mopsio.
And Uberag is finally down. Here comes the arrow at the top. Mopsio moves away. And the fight is still continuing. And Eternal is low, but is able to move away.
Uberag eventually gets picked off there on the bottom right. It seemed like he was just trying to draw the attention of 2 members and possibly have someone get caught in the top right. But Mopsio able to sneak away thanks to the bunker from Zarmany, and Zealots continue to find more kills. Thrall gets picked up, he's down for 20 seconds, and now the Dragon is available for the pickings.
It's still an interesting decision. I mean, obviously, there wasn't an accident. He intentionally tried to delay it. I'm just not quite sure if that was really the right choice, because you're trading basically Medivh for your main tank. Those are the two that are not in the fight at that moment in time. And Medivh already used his ley line, so there's still a lot of potential that Zealots, or aggression that Zealots can't rely upon, because Medivh with the portal isn't there. But it still feels like a very good trade if your opponent can't rely on the main tank in this situation.
There was one form of protection not being available with that Medivh not being there, so Team Liquid thought maybe that was their chance to get the pick. So there's that element to always consider too, that Force of Will not being available.
Why did Shad just ice block? Did he dodge a cocoon? Like, we don't have cooldowns ready, like we don't have cooldowns in the UI, so I can't actually see, I didn't see it properly, but he just ice blocked, and it seemed like a bit of a weird position for him, or reason for him to ice block. So if he dodged maybe something there, either he misclicked or he dodged, but I couldn't see it properly when it happened. So unfortunately, we don't have access to the cooldowns at this point, so I can't double check it. Maybe the replays are going to reveal it later. For now, it's a fight at the top lane. Here comes the Twilight Dream. Shad actually safe for now. Gets shoved into the corner and taken down by Stukov. But the counter kill as the Planet Cracker and Blaze go for the kill against Stukov himself. A 1-for-1 trade. The Dragonite still in play, finally broken through. And we have Zealots with 15 versus 12. Liquid losing Hanzo now too, and Eternal is also on the run.
It feels like Zealots are just playing with Team Liquid. Picking off Hanzo, Eternal being chased down. Just buying some time to make sure he doesn't get picked off, ADRD that is. And that's going to be another few kills as the Dragon was able to put some damage on that fort in the top left. We should have Zealots pick that off, and that will also get them level 16. There it is. Team Zealots are 3 levels ahead of Liquid.
Yeah, Zealots absolutely dominating this right now. Now, what do the Zealots have to do? First of all, they took the keep at the bot lane already. It's very difficult for them to end without your objective still. Death timers are low, and that gives a bit of a defender's advantage towards Liquid, so Zealots can't just simply move through the bot lane and try to go for core whenever they get a kill or two. But what they can do is try and slowly and steadily just take map control and take the structures of Team Liquid away. If with the talent advantage, they get either another keep or they get another Dragonite and then either keep or core, that's of course what they're going to hope for here. They just need to make sure that when they run the talent advantage, which is now, that they are posturing aggressive and that they are trying to get some tangible value. Getting a second keep, for example, which they always can do by playing aggressive around portals or even just the mercenary camps that we now see pressuring the top lane.
I mean, if you're Team Liquid, you're thinking about not even giving up the Dragon. It feels like it's not even an option at this point. With the keep already picked off in the bottom left corner, Zealots can position in that area, and they have a lot of space to decide how they want to take the approach. They can move in for a keep, they can move in for the core, as you were just mentioning. Zealots even getting pretty aggressive here on the Giants. They move in, Leyline Seal, APOC combo into a Planet Cracker. The APOC connecting afterwards, and the Planet Cracker getting interrupted, but it doesn't matter. Stuka picked off as Team Liquid attempts to escape. Support ability is low, the Planet Cracker got interrupted, but it's now available. And with a Malfurion Moonfire, Zealots secure that kill.
Yeah, and Diablo goes deep because he knows that Medivh is always going to have his back. So they get another 2 kills out of this. 13 kills against 1. That's what we are currently looking at. A 3-level advantage for Zealots. And as you said, the map is absolutely painted red. There's no blue nowhere near. And now it's going to be another objective for the Zealots. They have the heroes in position already. Chris is going to channel the Dragonite, and they're going to try and end here.
17 to 14. Dragon pushing a mass map. The Giants just now getting cleaned up. Team Liquid are going to need a miracle of a defense to hold this. Especially with Zealots. Look at this. In the south, they're grabbing the Night Camp too.
I mean, talking about StarCraft 2 throwbacks, they need an incredible miracle here. There is just no other way to turn this one around.
There is not, man. Zealots going to group up here and try to go for a Mighty Ducks run. Pushing this bottom lane. V formation. Team Liquid set up for defense, but here's the portal. They have to back up.
Cocoon comes out, but even that is broken down within just seconds, and they can go in again, and that's what they do. Eternal on Thrall is trying to save himself by the Sundering, but that doesn't help either. Down he goes, 14 kills against 1, and Zealots is just done with this. They're going in, and they're going to take the second win in the series.
Sport Billy trying to set for defense here. Hasselhoff's in trouble on the back right, but stays alive. Malfurion goes in here on the bottom left, drops down the root, the Jet Propulsion afterwards. Zealots get another pick, and the core starts to fall. 60 down to 50, and it continues to fall all the way down to zeros. Zealots absolutely destroying this weekend. If you actually look at their entire weekend, they are 5-0 right now, and we'll be getting ready for a third game after this, but Zealots up 2-0 over Team Liquid.
It's ridiculous how much they stomped Liquid in those 2 games.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy. And we talked a lot about the draft and the big advantages that the Zealots had with the draft here. But this is I don't know what I want to ask more. If I want to ask what happened to Team Liquid, or if I want to ask what happened to Zealots.
They ate the Cheerios.
Just it's the opposite pretty much of what I expected here.
Fan, how is Zealots destroying so hard right now?
I think, to sum it up briefly, they're just playing and drafting smarter than Team Liquid is. I've talked a lot about the draft already before this game. You see in this game 15 kills to 1. The Stukov is not saving anything. Zealots are playing around it really well. And on top of that, even in the game, they're playing a lot smarter. With these two compositions, Team Liquid really fell behind from the level 1 skirmish. They lost 2 heroes and they were immediately behind the entire game. And that is something that is really, really bad on Dragonshire because it's such a rotational map. If you fall behind from level 1, you're behind on the rotations for the rest of the game. So looking at the level 1, if you see these two teams, at least when I see these two teams, and I'm on Team Liquid's side, you know, not only do I have this fight or flight response where I want to run as fast as possible because I think we lost the draft really, really hard, but also I know there's no chance we can possibly win level 1 5 versus 5. You know, you have to really think about it. You have to see, okay, they're 5 heroes against our 5 heroes on the first wave. How does this play out in my head? Is there any chance that we can win this? And in my mind, that answer is no. If I was Team Liquid, I would have started in lanes, avoided the fight completely. But they didn't, so they ended up, you know, losing maybe more than what they should have, but they still lost the level 1. And even later on in the game, we saw the Anubrak stuck in between the keep and the fort, and he was stalling his death forever. And thankfully, his team almost got a pick on Diablo top lane to save it, but I think that was a really big mistake as well, because what Zealots were trying to do there was, if they get a DK and they stall that Anubrak until they get the DK, they just end the game right there, because you're 4v5 at that point, and Anubrak is going to be dead, like, as the DK is walking towards your core. So it just seems like Zealots is playing a lot smarter. Team Liquid, mechanically, they're doing fine. They're hitting their combos, but drafting and execution, they need to play a little bit smarter, I think.
Well, Team Liquid are hurting, but Zealots are a winning. We'll be right back here with game number 3, and we'll see if Zealots can close it out or if Team Liquid will find their spice.